wherever you are, wherever you're listening to me right now, I want you to look around, really take in the landscape around you. What do you see? What's there? Because I'm going to tell you a little secret that is lost on a lot of people in religion, spirituality, and mysticism. This place, where you are, this is the promised land. This is the land of milk and honey. This is the Holy Land. And you have to learn how to find it here, because if you go questing for it, that is a quest that never ends. Let's talk about that today as we head on down to the Church of the Oak. Blessings and light to all of you. My name is Charlie. I am a Christopagan Druid and priest of Frigid. Welcome today to the Church of the Oak. Thank you for being here. And before we get into our topic, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow whatever the terminology is on whatever app you're listening on. Every week, we do an original sermon on this channel related to some topic of Christopaganism or Druidry. You don't want to miss anything. And you don't want to miss our other podcasts, Creation's Past, where my husband and I sit down and we talk over a topic for about 30 minutes, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, or our other podcast, The Hollowstead, where we do an original meditation, ritual, practice every week to help you out on your spiritual journey. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. Yeah, this is the Holy Land. And I wish people would get that through their heads. We, as spiritual people, get lost sometimes in confusing the material and the physical world with what is spirit. I'm not saying that physical things don't matter. I'm not one of those people. I believe that God is in everything. That includes the land that we're walking on, the trees, the stones, the rivers, the seas, the lakes and the ponds, the very air blowing through. But there isn't a place that is more sacred than any other. There are places that tradition has named more sacred, but that's just tradition. There's a real struggle in this world over fighting for the sacredness of the land. Now, I am somebody who would say that, yes, we should stand up for the sacredness of the land. We should make sure that we're not polluting and poisoning the waters and the soil, that we're not digging where we don't need to dig. But the problem is, a lot of people mean that in a very possessive way. They don't mean it as in looking out for what's best for the earth. They mean it in, no, it's mine, I own it. I have ownership over it. I have a stake in it. And so we fight and we argue and we start defining who and can and cannot live here. We start making magical lines on maps and sending wave after wave of young people to die fighting over lines on maps. All the while we lie and pretend that we're doing this because the land is somehow ours. It's sacred, it's precious to us in some way. Maybe it's because there's an old map that shows this part of the world on our side of the magic line. Maybe it's because our ancestors used to live there. Maybe it's because we believe that it's a place from a story from our folklore. There are a lot of reasons people latch on to a physical place. I'm not saying that those places can't have a certain meaning. But if we really want to find the land of milk and honey, if we really want to find the promised land, we have to go beyond all of those things. Jesus tells us that the kingdom will not come by expectation. They will not say, here it is, or there it is. Because lo, the kingdom of heaven is among you, and you do not see it. The promised land is wherever we are. Whatever we're doing, wherever we are, that is where the promised land is. That is where the land of milk and honey is. This is the land of milk and honey. This is the Holy Land, wherever you are. If you go somewhere else, that's where it is. Because all land is holy. Our connection with the one life, our connection with spirit, helps us to see the holiness in the land. We build temples, shrines, groves, and monuments in these places to mark them as a spot that we collectively find special. Many times we forget. We forget the very simple truths that they're special because we are there, not because the land itself has a special magic unlike any other. That's going to be upsetting to some people. That's really going to bother some people who really want to believe that they have a special right to a place where they can call others alien, where they can call others illegal, where they can call others others. See, the God that we worship is very clear through all of the prophets that we will be judged by how we treat the foreigner amongst us. Those people that are not of our tribe. We have to treat them with hospitality. We have to treat them fairly. We have to welcome them in and make sure that they are taken care of. That's the God that we serve. But the imperial church doesn't want us to see that. So they twist the stories. They change the stories so that they're about other things. The prophets are clear. The sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was inhospitality. You see, God declared any city that isn't safe enough that a stranger could sleep on the streets without being harassed or troubled doesn't deserve to exist. This is what was found to be wanting in those cities in the valley. That is why they were destroyed in the story. If you actually read the story, that's what the story is about. Now, the imperial church has made it into all kinds of things and tried to make it about everything that they don't like, because hospitality is the bane of empire. You cannot be a hospitable empire. It's impossible. You can't do it. Once you start colonizing a place and saying, this is mine, not yours, you can't have it, you have no part in it, you have cut yourself off from the basic hospitality that is necessary to truly build community, to truly build a sacred space, to truly connect to that land of milk and honey, that promised land that you are in fact living on. The more we try to bar off people and say, oh, no, not that, this is ours. The more we become protective, the more we want to defend our land or expand our land and territory, the more we are blaspheming the Holy Spirit and the more we are causing harm. This world is not ours. If anything, we belong to it rather than it belonging to us. And so many people do not want to accept that, because if we belong to the earth, if the earth is in fact a means of grace, if the earth is sacred, then we have to be careful how we treat it and what we do upon it. But if we take something, label it as sacred space, and then prescribe a whole bunch of arbitrary rules over it, we can make those rules whatever we want them to be and get away with all of the darkest desires of our hearts. And that's how empire works. As we strive against the imperial church that is constantly trying to control and dominate us, it is naming all of the places that it owns, that it is empowered to take action over, and that it has the right to tell you how to live in. The more power we abdicate to that empire to dictate how we live our lives and who can live life where we are, the less able we are to live in that land of milk and honey. Because that is such a beautiful analogy, because that is what it is. It is a land of milk because it is nourishing. It feeds our souls. And it's the land of honey because of the sweet delights that we find there. That really is the secret of a promised land. That really is the secret of a holy land. It is the land that nourishes you. It is the land that gives you life. It is the land where you find all the sweetest delights that this life has to offer. That is how you find and walk into this land of milk and honey. It's very easy to do. Instead of asking, what do I get out of? Or how do I control? Or how do I own? Or how do I take? Or notice all of these have an I in them. We change that I to a we. There's your first step. Change that I to a we. How do we live on this land? How do we find delight here? How do we find nourishment here in this sacred and holy space? The more we focus on the we and start realizing that there is no they in this equation, the more we will live in that holy land. Because I will say, truly in my heart of hearts, I don't believe any land has ever been fully made holy. I don't think we've ever truly found a promised land here on this earth. Maybe a small patch here, small patch there, but greed steps in so easily No, this land is holy for people who practice my faith. No, this land is holy, but for my ethnic group, my cultural group, my language group. That is not a holy land. That is blasphemy against the holiness of the land. Most of the holy lands that we have had throughout time have had some shade of that exclusive demon in it. When the spies were sent out to look into the Holy Land in the book of Joshua, one of those books of the Bible I want thrown out, they come back and tell them that the land is full of giants and we were but grasshoppers before them. This is a lie. You read the rest of the book and there are no giants. They're lying. They're trying to otherize the people that are there. If we can learn anything from the book of Joshua, it's how not to live, how not to be, because everything that you would do to profane a holy land, you can watch them do in the book of Joshua. Everything that is evil, they do in this book. They murder, they commit genocide, they kill children, all in the name of taking a land and making it exclusively theirs, because exclusion is a tool of our dark side. Anytime we're trying to be exclusive, we're feeding into our darker instincts. It can be really hard for us to learn how to talk in this world again, because so much of our language is divided into this ours and theirs, mine and yours, his and hers. We like to divide everything up. That division distracts us from all of the things that we could have in community. It makes monoliths out of entire groups of people. The problem with a monolith is that it is made of stone. The word monolith literally means one stone. When you calcify everything, petrify everything into this one rigid image, you deny any variance. All women don't act a certain way. All men don't act a certain way. And guess what? There are genders other than men and women. All people do not act a certain way. The grand diversity that makes us who we are is what makes us a great people. Unity is not conformity. I'm going to say that again. Unity is not conformity. If everybody looks the same, dresses the same, acts the same, believes the same, and speaks the same, that is conformity. You have made people conform. There is no unity in conformity. Unity requires difference. Unity requires disparate and different parts working together. That's the only way to have true unity. Not when we're all the same, but when in joyful acceptance of our diversity, we act together for the betterment of all. That is when we find unity. That is when and where we find the Holy Land. That is when we enter the land of milk and honey. When we stop trying to make everyone conform to an ideal, whether it's an ideal we made up in our own heads or one that was passed down to us by our ancestors because they feared difference. They feared the others and did not want them on their land. They claimed imperial ownership of the space that they walked. And in claiming that imperial ownership, they declared someone an other. This is the basic definition of a group. There's always an in and an out. I'm not saying that those are always bad distinctions. It's how those distinctions are used. I try very hard when I'm talking to you all to be as open as I can be, because while I am a Christopagan Druid, I know that not everybody listening to me is. Some of you are Christian, some of you are pagan, some of you are Druids, some of you have never heard of Druidry and don't even know what that means. Some of you are just looking. It's not my job to get you to conform to any of the things that I believe. And so I try very hard to be open. But sometimes I have to be honest and say, this is what I think. And others may feel excluded by that. But it's not being done to say, hey, you have to agree with me on this or you need to go away. It's about being honest about where I'm coming from. I can talk to you about my beliefs in Jesus and Mary and Bridget and Lou and the Dagda, my work in Druidry in the Sacred Grove, my work in the Holy Abbey for God in Christ. And you can join in the work, but I have no ill will towards those who don't. We say this a lot. We use this metaphor a lot, but in dealing with this concept of the Holy Land and the land of milk and honey, it's even more important. When we hold on to something through faith, we always have to hold it with an open hand. If we close our hand around it, we cut off its light and it cannot shine and lead the way. While people are afraid that they're going to drop it, people are afraid they're going to lose it, people are afraid it's going to go away, You have to have trust and open your hands. Just let it rest there. A bald hand is a fist. An open hand is an invitation. We are inviting Spirit to work with us. We are inviting God to work with us. We are inviting the one life to flow through us so that we might get to where we're wanting to go, that we might see and live in that Holy Land here, now, while we are alive, and not just dream about it in the future, in the world to come. We want that Holy Land now. We can only do that by holding the idea, the notion of it with palms open, just letting it rest in our hands, knowing that our ideas of it will change because we'll start hearing from others, people that have different needs than we do. Maybe it's mobility needs. Maybe it's auditory or visual needs. Maybe it's cultural sensitivities that we don't have. The more we learn to embrace this diversity in our community, the closer we get to truly embodying and living in the land of milk and honey, because we are building that unity. We are building that land, relationship by relationship. I know I say it a lot, and I hope no one gets tired of me saying it, but all truth is relational. Facts are facts. Wisdom is the experience that we gain over time and is fairly idiosyncratic. But truth is found in the relationship between different things. I'm going to say that again. Truth is found in the relationship between different things. Identical things cannot have a truth between them. It's the relationship that is the true thing. Understanding how that relationship works and what are the dynamics of that relationship is where you find truths. It's embracing that diversity within ourselves and between each other within our communities that we find that truth, that true land, that pure land, that holy land. It's in the relationships. If we're not willing to have those relationships with people different than us, with people other than us, then we will not get there. Like Moses and many of those who came out of Egypt with him will have to just keep wandering around the mountain over and over and over again because we get close to the Holy Land and murmuring begins. We start complaining and griping and pointing out all of the difference. Around the mountain we go again. If we want to actually get to that place, if we actually want to get to that Holy Land, then we have to embrace our unity and diversity, build those right relationships, those relationships built on compassion and honoring and listening and understanding where the other is coming from. It is not an easy road to get to, which is why it's very hard to get to the Promised Land. It's why our mythology has the story of the Fisher King, who did not live in right relationship with his people in the land, and all the land suffered, not because the king is magically special, but because the relationships were broken, and in that breaking of the relationship, the Holy Land died around him. It's not until that relationship is healed that he is restored, and the land is restored. That's the legend of the Fisher King. Our Fisher King is wounded. We can see it in the lies that are being spread about those most vulnerable in our society that we should be helping and giving aid. We can see it in the lies that are spread to help people feel better about themselves at the expense of those they name other. The more we strive to build ourselves up at the expense of anyone else, the further we get away from that Holy Land, that land of milk and honey, and the closer we get and the deeper we fall into the wasteland of the Fisher King. It's important to notice that at the beginning of that story, he had all of the things that he needed to make for a Holy Land, and in misuse of them, either through ignorance or error, depending on the version of the story, he is wounded and the Holy Land becomes a wasteland. I know that I, like a lot of you, are tired of living in the wasteland, of wandering through the desert, and you can find little pieces of the Holy Land. You can build them for yourself. And start with your home. Make your home a Holy Land. Even if it's an apartment somewhere, make it your Holy Land. Build it amongst your community, amongst your friends, your family, all those that you hold close. Build that Holy Land. Find ways to expand it and spread it so that you can find that Holy Land in all places until we are all living there. That's how we will eventually get to the land of milk and honey that we are looking for. Too many are working against us. So in strife, all we can do is combat their strife with compassion, truth, and wisdom. We can get there. I really believe that we can. I hope that this has helped you out. I hope that this has meant something to you. We're getting ready to go into the season of Samhain. It's getting closer. We're going to be talking about that a lot over on Creation's Fast. We're talking about it over here too. So I hope you're getting ready. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below. If you're listening to me on Spotify or YouTube, they'll notify me and I'll be able to see those comments. If you listen to us anywhere else, even if they say that you can leave a comment there, they do not notify us. So you can leave a comment there, but take it, copy it, and head over to creationspast.com, click on chat, paste it in over there, because then we can see it and we can have a conversation. While you're over at Creations Past, if you happen to have a few dollars that you can pass our way, you can join up for a membership. We're going to be doing classes over there, and members will get access to those classes before everyone else. If you'd like to support us somewhere else, you can support us on Ko-fi or Patreon. I am CE Dorsett on both, CEDORSETT. Thank you so much to everybody who does that. It really does help us to keep the roof over our head, to keep the power on, and to keep food on our tables. Thank you so very, very much. Until next time, may the power and light of the one life within us all help you to get a glimpse of the pure land, of the holy land, of the land of milk and honey that you are living in, and help guide you to manifest it more truly in your right relationships with all those around you. Amen.